Hi, it's Erica, also known as Mocha Mama on Fire, and welcome to my channel. My channel is all about finding my path to financial independence, being an autism mom, and family travel. And today I'm have my great guest named Atty, who's going to join us and talk about her experience as a autism mom, her joys, her struggles, and all those good things on our journey of raising our kids. And so just to kind of set the stage a little bit for you, Addie, a little more details on me. So my son is 4, and he was diagnosed as on the spectrum at 3. And so it's been like a year and some months now since he's been diagnosed. Some things that we did to start his treatment was get him into ABA therapy at age of 3 for early intervention. So he's been in ABA for about a year now, and we've seen such great improvement. So my questions for you to start, of course, tell me about you, your kids, when they were or when one of them was diagnosed, and how did you first start treatment?
Okay. Well, I'm Atul. I go by AT for short. I'm based here in Houston, Texas. We just moved back here from Houston. We were originally in Nashville, Tennessee. That's where I did my undergrad and graduate school. I ended up getting pregnant with my oldest son, Tristan Jackson, and he's 4, and that's pretty much where our autism journey started. So shortly after him, we have our 1-year-old son, baby Quay Jackson, and Tristan is the only child that I have right now that is on the autism spectrum. He was diagnosed last year, clinically diagnosed last year. And originally I took him to a psychiatrist because I saw kind of certain behaviors, and I was just kind of a little bit worried. He was talking, like hitting all the milestones. And shortly after that, it just kind of stopped. So I was just kind of like, oh, what happened? So I took it to Vanderbilt, reached out to someone at Vanderbilt, and we took him in. I believe Tristan was about 1.5, probably 2, not even just 2. So took him, and they told me that he was too young to like clinically diagnose him, because as children progress and get older, they flourish. So, but the assessment lasted like 3 to 4 hours, and then after the assessment, they did see that there were some signs of possible autism. So last year, we took him in. He was 3 and 3.5, and they did diagnose him with being on the autism spectrum, and also he's high functioning autistic, and he's with a speech impediment. So at the time he was nonverbal. Luckily he can communicate certain words, certain things, and he has definitely progressed. Currently he's at a particular specialized academy where he gets OT, ABA therapy, speech therapy, music therapy, anything that you pretty much name. He has a specialized treatment plan that we follow very, very strict. He is engaged with other students his age, and it's just been wonderful ever since he's gotten into that particular program, and they've been able to help him with all the therapies that he's needed, and he's just been flourishing ever since.
That is wonderful. So this is doing like all day, like a 6-hour or 30 hours a week.
Yeah. So originally they had him, down here in Houston, I think it's called the PP program or something like that, which is pretty much a program that's just half a day. Obviously, as a working mom, that was something that we just could not do. This particular academy is from 7:30 a.m. to 3:30 a.m. I'm sorry, 3:30 p.m. So it's an all-day a school. It's like regular school, and we love it. Love it, love it, love it. He gets all of his therapies. He's learning ABCs, 1, 2, 3. He's just really on track. So hopefully come kindergarten, first grade, he's still on that track as progressing. So
yes, well, yay, go Tristan. So I'll say, yeah, Roman was very similar to Tristan. So he's also considered high functioning. And when he was diagnosed officially from a psychiatrist or a psychologist, I always get those things confusing. But anyway, psychologist. He was not verbal. So in the way he would communicate with me was like pointing, taking my hands to wherever he wanted.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't saying really mommy at that time. I almost forgot because he's progressed so much in the year. I forgot how he was when he originally began the journey. I kind of wish I had a video of that so you can really see how the growth has been. But so he wasn't able to communicate at all in that way. So I was crying, he was crying. Nobody was getting understanding of what was going on. After the year in ABA, which is a very similar setting where he gets ABA, speech, OT, all in that. He's there for 6 hours a day, which I give God praise for. He goes in at 9. I pick him up at 3. And it's a new young man I'm looking at every day. And so he's talking, he's saying mommy, saying what he needs. He's actually potty trained, which like,
oh wow,
those first 3 years, we know was a hard thing. And I think especially with, I feel like Black culture can be a little different things when it comes to our families and expected milestones from your children, from you'll say your elders maybe.
Yeah, comparing.
So there was going to be comparing is like, your child not potty trained at 3. What's wrong with your child? And those.
I know it. I get it.
And so, but thankfully through ABA and with some of the OT, he's able to now at least say potty. And not all the way there when it comes to like the wife being cleaning. But at least he knows to go. So like I'm a big advocate, proponent for us going to ABA. And so as far as the center you found, how did you find it? And if you don't mind, how are you able to afford it? Kind of for some things, that can be a question too. Did you have health insurance through your employer? What was your experience like in getting care?
So my saving grace is my mother. Shortly after I said, you know what, I'm going to move back to Houston, back home, to just get that support. After I was pregnant with my second child, he just kept getting kicked out of daycares, and I'm just kind of like, oh my God, because his behavior started kicking in. I'm just like, oh my Lord, what am I going to do? I'm in Nashville. What am I going to do? So my mom, I don't know how she did it. She found a particular school that he's at, the academy, and it's 100% free. And it was a relatively new program, and she was just kind of like, I think this is something that he should really, be in. He has like all the therapies, it's a great, area, all this good stuff. So I was just like, oh, absolutely. So immediately as I moved here, I was, I had just had my son or whatever, so I wasn't working at the time. So I put a lot of my efforts into getting him in this particular academy. So at the time, he wasn't at the age where he could start, but I could get his assessment done now that he was at the age to where they can fully clinically diagnose him. So when I got everything done, my mom and I pulled a lot of strings, okay, in order for me, because it's so, a lot of families have a child who has autism or is on that spectrum. And so, the waiting list is just like, So Ms. Hallenberger, which was the director at the time, she really, really saw how, adamant I was to get my child into that academy so that I could see him flourish. And so once we got him in there, everything is free of charge. I mean, everything. And it's through the school district. He was zoned to a particular school, but like I said, the half-a-day programs wasn't going to work for me and for him. I wanted him to have everything and get really accustomed to being at school all day, because once, he gets to kindergarten, first grade, second grade, it's going to be that. And so I want him to have that structure and have that ability to, to be in school, in a school setting around other children. And so as soon as we got him in that program, he has just been so successful, and I love it. And this particular academy, like I said, is 100% free, so I don't have to pay anything. Therapy is free. We don't have to use our insurance or anything. It's just through the school district. And so, like I said, it's a relatively new program, and it was just kind of heaven sent. So.
That is a blessing. So like, as far as like the size of like the classroom for your son, or how is it? Is it one-on-one therapies, or what is that kind of structure?
So, depending on what the treatment plan is for your particular child. So Tristan had a thing where he needed to be a little bit more social, and
Mhm.
so usually the therapies is in a classroom setting. I believe the classroom is up to like 5 to 7 kids. Um, uh,
Mhm.
Starting off, I believe. So depending on like his treatment plan, like if he needs a more intensive ABA therapy, it'll be like a one-on-one session or whatever the case might be. But usually it's within a classroom setting. And I believe, ooh, don't give me the lion. I believe it's about they'll have like ABA therapy for like an hour or two a day, then they'll go on to music therapy, and then they'll go on. So it's like 7 different therapies within a day. And so depending on the day and depending on the schedule, that's kind of how they kind of depict on, you know.
That is wonderful. What a blessing. Go mama.
Oh, go mom. Shout out to Joyce.
Yes, yes, that is awesome. So like, so with that program, then he'll be able to stay on until it's time for him to go into kindergarten and then transition in that sense.
So yeah, so so within his ARD meeting, his IEP meeting, so it will go on until he goes into kindergarten. Well, his birthday is late, so he'll be repeating K4 again, and then kindergarten. So yeah,
Oh
so
yes,
we have
I have a
we had
late
a good
baby
time.
too in a sense.
I know it.
What month is yours? Mine's October.
Oh really? October what?
My son's birthday, yeah, October.
Oh really? Oh my goodness. My baby's is October as well. So
Okay, now we ask a day now.
16,
October
16.
2nd.
Oh, 16, 16.
Oh, how sweet. Well, we were pregnant around the same time, nigga. Yours is 4 already, right? So
Yeah,
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 I'm
yeah.
so cool. He actually was due on October 22nd, and he decided to come on my birthday. So we're both born on October 2nd. Yeah.
No, yeah. So yeah, he's October baby, October 16th. So
Oh, how sweet. So thank you for sharing that with me. So I'm gonna go down my little list of questions because he answered a lot of great ones already. Let's see. Okay, so how would you say is your parenting style with Tristan?
ooh. So originally, I was more of a laid back parent because that was my first child at the time, young and stupid. Okay. But knowing what I know now as far as just motherhood, and having my second child, I am very, very structured in a sense. I try to let my children, especially Tristan, be who he is. But when it comes to like discipline, when it comes to like a certain schedule, I treat him exactly how I would treat my youngest son. Because I don't ever want him to feel that he's different in a sense, even though he does things differently, doesn't make him different. So I definitely try to treat them the exact same. Even if he wasn't on the autism spectrum, he understands direction. He understands two-step commands. He understands all of that.
Mhm.
It's one of those things where he's at the age of, do I really want to do that right now? So
Right.
so yeah, so that yeah, I'm pretty I'm still kind of laid back, but I'm still kind of like, okay, I'm mom, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that at this particular time. So I'm kind of in between that. So
Yeah. Well, I will say, funny, like I'm a really laid back parent. Honestly, I'm a laid back parent, and I think what's so interesting with autism and children with autism, or at least what I've seen. I mean, they say they thrive on having a schedule, right, or having structure in their day. And he has an unstructured mama. Okay, so it's like for him to have a structured day means I gotta be structured, and I like being free, right? So
mhm,
I think the unique thing, which I kind of find funny, and I talked to his therapist and all that because I feel like during his time at the center, it's so structured that
mhm.
when he comes home, I'm okay with him being free. So, and not having to have too many things. And I know that everyone probably not going to agree, like,
No, I actually am like that in a sense, but I've had to learn the hard way about why it is important to have a structure, because with all the stuff that I'm balancing personally, and then like his schedule, like he is that type of person where you have to do it in order for him to act right. Like you have to have that structure with him. So I'm not like, oh, okay, 8 o'clock, 10 o'clock, we have to do this. No, but I am like, okay, you know what? He hasn't been outside. He hasn't been to the park today or whatever. Let's go at this particular time. I know he kind of is sleepy around, noonish, 1 o'clock ish or whatever. So let's go. So it's like things that I haven't
Yeah.
physically wrote down. Like this is the schedule, but I like cognitively, I'm just kind of like, okay, you know what? Let me go ahead and do this because I know how Tristan will react if we don't do X, Y, and Z. So it's one of those things. So
Yeah.
don't feel bad. Don't feel bad.
Like, it's so funny because I look at different groups and how they do things. And, some
Mhm.
moms have like schedules on the wall. And they're like, okay, we're going to do this. We have dinner at this time.
Mhm.
And, but, I'm working to get more of a structure when it comes to like his leisure time on the weekends.
Yeah.
Because like, of course, she's pretty structured Monday through Friday.
Yeah.
And I pick him up and we get home and we do some relaxing and all that.
Yeah.
Take a bath. Those things are routine. He's down to it. As more so like the weekends where I need to add some structure to it. So I'm always asking how's your kid's parenting style in that respect? So we're all a work in progress. So, but thankfully, I think too, like I think he's not as rigid as I've seen other kids be.
Yeah.
I think maybe it's because I am not as forcing him into a certain structure too. So it's kind of breaking that balance. And like I say, the parents are the expert on their kids. So you do what you find best for your kids. So that's what I love about it.
Absolutely.
Let me ask, you didn't mention that before you lived in Nashville and you got your college degree there and your master's. So tell me a little bit more. So before you were a mom to Tristan and the baby, if it was Koi, right? The boy beside the other.
Baby Quay.
Who was AT?
Chad, that was years ago. No, I'm joking. So, Atla was a college athlete. I played tennis. I was on a tennis scholarship at Tennessee State University, the real TSU. And I was on a scholarship there. And I was just pretty much this spunky, I guess you can say, nerd. I graduated in 3 years, and then went on. Yeah. So yeah, I was like a huge nerd. Like I didn't do too much of anything in college as far as like spring break and all the good stuff. Like I was literally studying. And so after graduating in 3 years, I decided to go and obtain my master's. Within the first year of my graduate school, I got pregnant with Tristan. But before then, like literally, like if it wasn't like tennis or just hanging out with my friends, laughing, talking, and stuff like that, yeah, that was just pretty much me until I have children, and then of course, your world is kind of like upside down once you have children. Things priorities switch, and basically, yeah, that was just really me, like very social person, very, let's go out, let's go have a good time. One of those type of people. So, and also a nerd at the same time. So I don't know how you feel.
3 years. So what's your degree field?
So my bachelor's was in counseling psych, and then I'm sorry, psychology, and then my master's was in counseling psych. And so currently I'm in a doctoral program to be a clinical psychologist. So yes.
AT. Dr. AT. I love it. So
yeah, we gotta speak into existence.
So like what area do you want to focus in within psychology then? Of course, it's a vast field. So like what audience are you hoping to serve?
So originally it was for the African American community. I wanted to study African American childhood trauma. But with this journey with autism, I am as a parent is little research in regards to like what the linkage is as far as like how are these children becoming autistic, what are the like factors and stuff like that. So I'm highly interested in that. So I'm not sure if that's kind of where I want to lean as far as my dissertation or not, but I am really, really, really adamant about childhood trauma, like I said, autism as well, and just in that area. So
yeah, and just off the top of my head, kind of dome thinking. I mean, think about childhood trauma and autism in a little area of research, at least that I've seen, is that as for those, I would say even Black autistic children when they become adults, like that transition, I'm sure. I'm hearing mixed reviews about how ABA impacted them and their adulthood transition and things like that. That could be an interesting area. I'm just thinking off the top of my head.
Yeah, and also, there's not a lot in regards to there are parents who are adamant about vaccines and autism and stuff like that. So that's an area that I definitely want to chime in as well, because like I said, there's not a lot of research about it. And it's kind of taboo to really talk about it, if you're a parent that think that, my child was fine until he got vaccinated. I am one of those parents. I'm sorry. I'm one of those parents because he was completely fine until he got vaccinated. But it's taboo to talk about, and
it is because like you don't want people to say, "Oh, you're anti-vaxxer," and I'm not an anti-vaxxer.
Not saying that at all.
It's just strange to me how it did seem like after he got his 2-year-old shots.
Ooh, yes, ma'am.
For the 18-month.
I think it was 18 months. Yep, yeah. Around that time span.
Yeah, that's what I feel like. I feel like everything before that, he was on pattern. He was
if not ahead. And so that was one of the biggest things. Like, I can't deny what my truth and what my experience with was with my own personal child. So but they swear up and down that there's no linkage or anything like that. I personally think that there's a link, and I also do believe that there are biological factors that sometimes in the African American community we don't really talk about certain disabilities and stuff like that within the household. And when you wind up having your generation wind up having children, it's just kind of like, well, where did this come from? Then a year later, after your child has been diagnosed, you find out, oh, well, cousin Larry was autistic, but he never had that resources to actually go and get diagnosed. So it's one of those things where it's just kind of like, but
it is. Yeah, so true. That's so funny because that's one of those things. Because like when I started noticing delays, I started doing Googling and searching.
Absolutely,
now, you kind of go down that rabbit hole of the vaccines causing it. But it's like not to wake it up in our conversation too much, but I did see one video that kind of had me thinking, because the materials inside the vaccine has changed somewhat from when we were kids.
Mercury,
they have the same kind of ingredients or whatever.
Mercury being one of the active ingredients is, and honestly, like I said, even if there is a linkage, it might be one of those things where it's just like different children have a different type of reaction when it comes to stuff like that. So and my child being one of them that didn't really reaction was different than most children. So I mean, it could be a lot of things, and I'm not saying that that's what it is, and but I do have my own personal theory, but
I totally feel you on that.
We'll talk
later. You got to the side, but either way, God is blessed. Our children are still flourishing, and it is something that's to know. We're still going forward with it. And let's wake up more vaccines. But of course, given the world we're in right now with COVID, I talked to my own sister about it. I'm still kind of on the fence in regards to the COVID vaccine. And I just want more research and learn more about it as it come out. When it comes to applying to our children, I'm just like,
I will say, in regards to like vaccines in general, just having my second child or whatever,
yes,
it was hard. It was definitely hard because I'm more observant with this child compared to Tristan, because I know more and I've been through a lot more or whatever. So when I look at Quay, when he gets his vaccines, I had his first round done or whatever. He was fine, very outspoken child. But this next round, I'm just kind of like, I have reserved feelings about it. Not saying that he's not going to get it, but I have definitely reserved feelings about it because, it's traumatic, when you feel that you've done something wrong, in regards to caring for your child, and he, is what society see is different. It's one of those things where you want to tread lightly on. And I would not be honest if I was to sit here and say like, he's going to get vaccinated and everything's going to be fine. I do have reserved feelings on that because it's just kind of like, I want to make sure that you're healthy and that you are everything that I could do is helpful for him. So that's kind of where I'm at with it. So
you're definitely not alone. And I'm sure other moms who will watch this, and they'll say in the comments, yes, girl, I'm right there with you.
Yes.
I understand. So to go on, ask a few more questions. So one thing about my channel, about me, is like I love travel, and I believe that we should travel with our kids and expose them to the world. What's your thoughts on traveling with your kids? And yeah, tell me a little bit about that.
Well, that seems like a dream right now because of the pandemic. But I am a traveler too at heart. I don't really have that much opportunity to travel as often as I would like, but I love, love, love. I actually went to Germany for a little while. Was it after college? I got to travel. Yeah, I think maybe it was after college or something like that. But and phenomenal, gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. As far as traveling outside of the country or state to state, I am a person. I'm an advocate for traveling, seeing different sceneries and stuff like that. So yeah.
Oh, good. Well, one thing I was wanted to share with you, let you know. So, given that travel is a passion of mine, of course, right now we're kind of stuck at home given
Mm-hmm.
COVID, but the world will reopen one day.
Yeah, right.
And
One day.
I want to be ready when it's time to reopen, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I actually started a nonprofit. So it's called a Shades of Autism Parent Network.
Mm-hmm.
And the purpose of it is really to create fun recreational events for, I'll say, Black autism families is who this focused towards.
Right.
So I want to be able to plan like parent retreats and family travel. And so I started a fund there to help parents and families get their child a minor passport. So that way they'll be ready to go and travel the world. So that's one, like, put up a little plug out there for people to know, for you to know, of course, that in 2022, we're going to actually begin planning events to hopefully do like group family trips. So I want to do some in the US and also some out. I want to plan about maybe 3 or 4 trips a year. That's the hope and plan. And of course, people can pick and choose where they go. Like I'm going to do like a spring break type of trip. So that way people can leave for spring break, like a summer type of event, and like the holiday time frame. Most times we get schools off and things like that. So of course I'm always welcome and opening with new members, new volunteers who have ideas, and I'll be up plugging you in there too if you like AT.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Absolutely.
And as far as Houston, and of course what recently happened with the winter storm, how are you and those around you?
We actually, in my particular area, we didn't get hit as hard. Like we didn't have any busted pipes or anything like that. We did have like off and on power, and the water stop is one of the things that I will say that kind of like was kind of bad. But other than that, we didn't really get hit as hard. I think as far as Tristan, like he loves to go outside or whatever. So it was one of those battles of like, no, sweetheart, you can't go outside, or this is what snow is, or whatever. So he wasn't really like affected as much, and we as a whole wasn't affected as much as some of the other people around in our surrounding area. So luckily,
Yeah, thankfully, it's definitely heartbreaking seeing it on, seeing it on the news, and it's like, oh my gosh. And then imagine how much those who have kids with special needs too, because like if you're out of water, I mean, their whole routine is thrown off, right? Like how can they? It's a lot to endure. So I'm glad that. And okay, so going back to the planning of trips, right? So because I want to get an idea of where parents would like to go. So if you could just tell me off top of the dome, what were 3 places you would like to go as a family if you could go tomorrow?
Are you saying like a different state or like overseas or just anywhere?
It can be a different state, or it can be a different country. Just a place that you think would be a fun place for families to travel to.
Let me think. I don't know. For families to travel to, I will probably say, I don't know, because I sound like biased. Come to Houston. No.
I've heard so many fun things about it.
It's phenomenal. I am a Houston girl at heart. I love it. But like for me and my family, I wouldn't mind us going all like to Germany again. I love, love, love Germany. When I was there, we went to Magdeburg, Germany, Berlin. It was, oh God, it was gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. And I would think that would be something quiet and, being able to be out there, kind of see a different scenery, being outdoors and just kind of, I loved it. So.
Thank you. You know what? I would definitely add Berlin on the list. Aim at the Munich too, you say, right? Munich and Berlin was your trip?
Magdeburg.
Oh, Magdeburg. Right, Munich. Munich's in Germany though, right?
You said where?
Munich. That's in Germany too, right? Okay.
Don't give me the line. We'll Google it.
Yeah, we'll Google it. We're sure. On my list so far for 2022, the first one is Mexico, because that's like an easy one to get to. Yeah, so I'm thinking Mexico for spring break in 2022. So that's what I'm looking to do and plan. Yeah, so that'll be like a fun one. And for the U.S., I actually heard some fun things about where was that? I think Salt Lake City actually.
Like I didn't even think about that one at all. Yeah, that's a good one. I didn't even think about that. Sorry, the background, my children are up clearly.
It's that time,
Right.
And actually, that's okay. You can begin to ask any questions that you have of me. So I asked you all my thoughts and questions. Feel free to ask me. I'm an open book as well. So you can turn the page on me and ask me a few questions if you like.
How was your experience I take that back. What were some of the signs that you noticed within your son to have him tested and stuff like that for autism?
Yeah, that's a great question. So like signs I noticed that he wasn't talking as much. Like he wasn't calling me mommy and daddy. Like he didn't say I know. So that's always like. Mm-hmm. And before he was almost saying it, but he didn't say it all the way before, what our theories might be. Mm-hmm. Like he was on track before. I was like, okay, well, maybe it's just like, a slow talker or whatever else. Some people don't talk until later on. But we're really like that, how he started to ask for things. It was really more of like, pulling my hand over or grunting towards things, or it wasn't like a vocal way. So I knew something wasn't right. And so I talked to his doctor, his pediatrician, and he was a great preacher. At the time, I lived in Charlotte, North Carolina. Mm-hmm. And he was like, yes, I will refer you. And he referred me to the specialist. And really, the specialist was like, as soon as she saw him within the first 15 minutes, yes, he's on the spectrum. They did some other testing, and then he got the official diagnosis. The one thing too, he's a stimmer. So he'll find things like the hand flapping and things like that. Not so much of the tippy toe kind of walking, I would say, but it was more so just like running. Mm-hmm. He likes to run and feel that feeling, and he likes to stim a lot like that. And that's when I really started doing the research on the hand flapping.
That sounds very similar to my experience as well. Tristan originally, when he was kind of 1 or whatever, he would start kind of walking on his tippy toes a little bit, and he was stem as well with his hands. He doesn't anymore, but when he first started, he started doing that, the hand flapping, and then as far as pulling me, if he's hungry, pulling me to the kitchen, or and not verbalizing saying what he wanted or whatever. I was like, yeah. And then of course the reports from his childcare at the time was just kind of he's having tunnel vision, we'll be saying his name and he's just not responding. And I was just kind of okay. And then I stood, I remember I stayed up one night and I, of course, like a mom Googling, what does it mean if your child is not? So when I saw that, it took me to a YouTube video of a child who had autism, and they showed a video of a child, and it was exactly what Tristan was doing at that age. And I just could not stop crying. I just broke down. I ran to his dad. I was like, look what's going on. And he was just like, oh, that doesn't mean anything. I was like, no, I'm serious. This is something that's going on. So we took him, and mommy was right.
I think mommy was right too, because my husband was the same way too. It's kind of well, it's okay, and he'll be fine. I'm no, something's not right. Let's go ahead and get it checked and see. Yeah. And then, when I first got diagnosed, I cried as well because I wasn't sure what that meant.
Who cried?
I didn't want to have a label, and it kind of goes to your own what's the word? I guess misconceived notions of what special needs means for
Yep.
you and your family or whatever else. It's just like, yeah. So not boohoo cried. Couldn't go to work today.
Seriously, I cried to my mom, and I cried to his grandmother, his paternal grandmother as well. Like I was just crying because I did not have the education to know, like, okay, this is what autism is or whatever, because I'm just like what does this look like in the future? Is he going to be,
Right.
be able to independently live? I don't want him to be bullied. All this stuff kind of,
Right.
transition into your mind. So it's just kind of like you start hyperventilating, like, oh my God, maybe I didn't take enough, prenatal vitamins, stuff like that. You start blaming yourself. So
Exactly.
I had to really come to terms. And it was actually last year where I had to come to terms, like, okay, look, regardless of whatever it is, you have to calm down because he needs you. He needs you. And even if that means, like, he's great, going down the line because we put in the work and put in the tools that he needs to be successful. Still, like, it's just kind of like, you as a mom, you want your children to have the best. You want them to, have the opportunity, and he will. We just gotta calm down.
Yes. That's the whole thing. That's the whole thing, girls. Like
Calm down.
It's like he will. That's the whole thing. It's like, because we're gonna make sure that he has it. It's like, and he's gonna be okay with our support and everything else. And also too, I kind of realized it gave me a new passion in a way too, and even more focus on my family, but others as well, and touching them and making sure that they're aware and say, hey, if you notice these signs, it's okay. Get it checked out, because unfortunately, the statistic is, I forgot the actual number, I go blank while I'm talking, is that the Black children are late diagnosed, right? I can't remember the exact the stat is, but it's just that our children are diagnosed at later ages. There we go. They're diagnosed at later ages, and they miss out on the opportunity to get early intervention like our kids are getting.
Yeah.
So it kind of comes down to us advocating to those around us. If you see these signs, go ahead and get checked out.
And early on, like I said, I was in denial. It really took like my mom like saying, like, absolutely no, seriously, like, I understand this is your child, this is your first child at that. I think, let's just, even if I'm wrong, just go, because I've never had a child before. I'm thinking, he's just being stubborn. He doesn't want to talk right now. No. No. And then it also, his grandmother, on his dad's side, literally had to, we sent him there to Florida. And she owns a daycare there, and she's a director there. And so she saw it within herself, like, okay, I see, kind of the interaction with other children, or the lack of, and I kind of see what you're saying or whatever. Maybe, he is particularly on the spectrum. Like, let's just, I think if we tackle it here, 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 here. So I had a village, helping me and just really guiding me. And then it just was really up to me. Like, are you going to fight for your child or not? So it's one of those things. So I choose to fight for my children and advocate for them. That's kind of like where I'm at. So, you really can't tell me little to anything when it comes to Tristan and how we're rocking, because we are a village, and Tristan has been so successful thus far. So we're doing something right. Okay.
You're doing great. You're doing wonderful. And what a great school too. And I just love that. Because I'm in Florida as well. So where is your grandmother's daycare? What city?
So she's in Daytona Beach.
Oh,
Daytona Beach. Where are you? I'm sorry.
I'm in Jacksonville.
Oh, that's not too far. That's not too far. That's like what, like an hour?
It's like an hour and 15 minutes.
Yeah.
I'm a Florida girl, so I know Daytona, Bethune-Cookman, and all that.
Oh, there you go. There you go. You know exactly where it's at there.
Where's the original Freaknik City?
So she was a huge help. She literally sat me and his dad down and just kind of like went over like what she saw and like what the teachers who were interacting with him saw. And he was there for a couple months. So he was there for a little while. So she was able to get a huge assessment because she's been working with children for forever. So to hear that from her and just kind of hear it from my mom and just to see kind of what I already personally knew, I was just kind of like, yeah, okay, cool. This is how it's going to go. Let's do it. He's a baby. He's not really in school. He's in like K3, K4. So so let's do it now, because you just never know, and I want him to have as much opportunity as his brother, as it, I want him to be successful. So as much as I want him to be successful, I'm going to put in the work that I can to make him successful,
Yep, and he will be. And I guess my one last closing question for you is because you're a great advocate for your son and you have that great village supporting him as well. How have you made plans going forward into his future when it comes to, say, like your own estate planning, something wants to happen to you, or how are you saving for his future? Are you aware of some techniques in those regards, and what's your thoughts there?
So I lack that as of right now. I do have certain money set aside for him in particular. As far as coming up with a particular plan as to if I was to pass, or if his father was to pass, don't have that just yet. He has godparents. I have set aside like godparents for him. However, I have not. I actually do need to look into that. And now that you mention it, that's something that I'm definitely do with this next week. I would hate for, of course my mom or his grandmother would step in or whomever or whatever, but I do need to have something more permanent, because at the end of the day, my parents and his grandmothers, his dad's side of the family, they're older. Nobody wants to start all over, with the 4-year-old. So I definitely need to go ahead and figure that out. I haven't really thought that far. So
yeah, and it's okay, because right now we have to deal with the today and every day, so it's hard to keep forward. Just so I kind of ask the question because so many others are in that same predicament as well. But it's important to have that conversation, even though it's hard. And I have a great connection with a great attorney who focuses on actually autism parents in that regard and needs guardianship. So the website is called Spectrum Law. Of course, she's based in Florida and she's in Miami area. But she's going to be doing a workshop, and it's going to go live on April 2nd. And so I will share that with you just so you can just check in on the webinar, listen in on it. She's going to be talking about the key documents you need and when preparing for your children and things like that, like our trust and all of that. So I'll let you know. It's going to be on April 2nd. And actually, you can register online. I'll go ahead and say it. So it's called Awesome. So like AU. Some.
Sorry, my son is calling. Say hi. Say hi. Hi. Okay. It's the youngest one. You
Hi.
Okay. All right. Bye-bye, sweetie.
That's all right. We're wrapping up. I know it's mommy time.
Quay, sweetheart. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Hey.
Say hi.
Hi.
Okay. Hi. Super vocal. Okay.
Yes.
He's my big helper when it comes to his brother. Super vocal.
That is wonderful. That is so great. I'll email you the link so you can check out that seminar. Because one thing we also may be thinking about too, because anything can happen in this world today, and so we want to have those things in place for our children.
Absolutely.
But it's been a pleasure speaking with you today. I don't want to hold you too long. And we're going to stay connected. We're going to continue speaking. And you're my Houston friend. I got a Houston friend. And
absolutely. For life.
I'll say be blessed, of course. And I guess how I can wrap up the video is thank you for watching if you made it this far. Please do follow us or follow me at Mocha Mama on Fire on Instagram. AT, if people want to get in contact with you, how would they do it?
Well, you can follow me on Facebook, Attala Island. My name is right there, ATTALLAH Island, EILAND. I'm also on Instagram, Niani_HTX, Niani NIYANI_HTX. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. I'll end the broadcast. Bye.